Wait a moment. Okay. All right. Good afternoon from Beijing. Good morning in Europe. Good evening in the United States. I heard that we have listeners, attendees from all over the world. So I am absolutely delighted, and I would like to thank the organizer for the invitation. Now, before I thank the individual organizers, I think we should really thank the countless nurses who have been doing a tremendous job over the last couple of days and weeks, not just here in Beijing, but in many other places in China. And it is thanks to them that we can still hold this seminar under these circumstances. So, of course, many thanks to all the organizers of the seminar series, Professor Wang from the Central Normal University, Professor Guo from Westlake University, Professor He from the ICT, and of course, Professor Wu. Thank you very much for all the hard work you have put into to make this happen here today and in the next couple of weeks. Now, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Thorsten. I completed my PhD at the Australian National University in Australia. And since coming to China in 2012, I have worked together with many scientists, primarily in the biological sciences, but also here at the Institute of Computing Technology, as you can see here. So I work as a scientific language editor as well as a lecturer at the University of the Chinese Academy of Science. And to just give you two examples of the work I was invited to collaborate with the researchers here. You can see in 2017, we had two self papers related to structural studies, and here another structural study published in Nature Communications. Just two examples of the papers. As you have seen, I was fortunate enough to be involved in a number of collaborations with scientists from all over China. And I hope these two examples are sufficient to convince you that I am qualified to talk about academic writing in English to you today and in the next 3 weeks. Now, so much about myself. Let's have a look at our audience. So who are you? Why are you here? What exactly do you need? So any speaker who wants to give a successful presentation has to have some idea about these questions. And so I would like to run you through just a number of slides to show you who you are. So thank you all who have participated in the survey. I will show you some of the results here. So as you can see, we have participants from all over the world. Now, I asked you to indicate at what level of your scientific career you are. And as you can see here, the biggest number, largest number of participants are master students. As you can see here, 45%. We have quite a large number of PhD students, and we have undergrad students as well as young and established principal investigators. When I asked you in what part of sciences you are, you can see here most of you, 98% are in the natural sciences, and I'm of course very happy about this, being a biologist myself, to see that we are here mostly biologists and related areas. Now, when I asked you why you are attending this seminar, 25% of you said, well, because I never attended a seminar on academic writing. So I'm very happy, of course, about this group. I'm very happy and delighted to know that this will be your very first seminar, and I hope I will do a good job to convince you that this is a problem and a challenge that you will be able to tackle. Over 60% of you thought that attending a seminar like this can improve your writing. And I will make an extra point, an additional point about this in a moment. I just leave it there for the time being. 10% were very honest and said, I attended seminar because my supervisor told me so. So this is sort of the motivations why you came here today. And when I ask you about your writing experience, you can see here 12% of you don't actually need to write a paper to graduate. I believe this will be master students. And so you can relax today. There's no pressure on you. You don't have to publish a paper, so just enjoy the ride. 26% of you said, yes, I have already written, submitted, and accepted, have a paper accepted. So I'm very happy for you. Congratulations. You're probably here because you still remember the pain you went through, and hopefully we will be able to give you some tips to make it easier for your next paper. So have a look at this. 62% of you have said, I don't know, I haven't started writing a paper yet, but I need to write a paper to graduate. I have written the paper, but I haven't submitted, or you're currently in the process of writing a paper. So this talk really is for you guys. So if we summarize what we have just seen, so our audience is primarily comprised of master's and PhD students. You study around the world, not just here in China, but in other parts of the world. Your first language is Chinese, and most of you have not yet written a complete manuscript. So this is then, of course, the conclusion slide of the conclusion that we can come to about our audience. This seminar series will focus on students who are new to academic writing, students who are facing the challenge of translating their Chinese thoughts into academic English writing. And what makes matters more complicated for you is that you have to do so after learning informal English for over 10 years. So if you like, what I have just done with you is I have presented you with some data. Imagine this is you having done a little study. I have shown you the data, and this is my conclusion that I'm coming to. And so you can take this already as a very first example of how to think about this whole process of going through your results, how to think about what kind of introduction you might want to give in your paper, and what conclusion you can come to on the basis of your results. Okay, so what I would like you to do is, after this talk, please go back to the handout and have a look at this example yourself, if you agree or disagree with the conclusion that I have put up here. All right, so there were some other comments students made. Have a look at this here. After the first 4 lessons, can a teacher mainly describe the contents of the lessons in Chinese? And so this particular comment kind of already indicates what we are up against here, how difficult, how challenging this whole process of writing a paper in English must be for you. So if we have a look at some of the language elements here, the article a, can a teacher? Maybe you mean the. Mainly, maybe you mean briefly. Describe, maybe you mean summarize. Contents, maybe you mean important points. Yeah, so you can already see from this comment that it is really challenging for you, yeah, to find the right words, put the grammar up as it should be in order to make a proper statement, and that yeah is of course going to be the biggest challenge for you when you write your paper, among many other challenges. Have a look at this example here. The student says, my issue is new, but my paper is always subjected. So, yeah, this is harder to understand. Issue, I'm not quite sure, yeah, what you mean. New, we have to, yeah, discuss what you mean by new. But my paper is always, do you really mean always? Subjected, you probably mean rejected, yeah? You can see already from these two examples that this is really a fundamental a hurdle that, you have to take. And I will give you one slide in a moment that will summarize how you can actually overcome these issues, okay? So please, wait for a moment until I come to the summary slide for not just today's talk, actually for all four seminars that I will provide you with. Here's some other comments. I am afraid I can't understand the teacher. I am afraid I can't keep up with the class. I am a new graduate student and I hope the course can be gradual from the introductory to the in-depth, preferably in Chinese. Now, to students who are concerned about these issues, let me give you some good news. All the material that I will be showing to you in the next 4 classes, seminars, are all available on our MOOC platform. So the good thing about this MOOC platform is that, first of all, it is open to everyone, all right? But the supporting material of this MOOC platform is in Chinese. So it will be very easy for you to follow all the material, all the videos, yeah, all the slides. And I am sure this will be of great value to you. Okay, so I hope that will allow you to relax a little bit about today's talk. So this is pretty much how I have organized this whole seminar. So today we will be talking about the basics. I want to give you some very general introduction to the whole idea of academic writing. And in the following 3 weeks, I will present you with material that cover all these different topics, how to tell a story, how to pay attention to your audience, stylistic elements, logical flow, how to improve your logical flow, and other elements that we think are important. This seminar series will provide you with the necessary theory. We will share with you tasks that we think will enable you to improve your skill set by yourself after this seminar. And we will give you tips on how to pay attention to elements of writing. All right, so everyone, please relax, sit back, and enjoy the ride of today's lecture and the lectures in the coming weeks. So, thank you to all the students that have sent their questions. You can see here a long list of questions across the whole area, all things related to writing. What I take away from your questions is there's a lot of confusion. You can see here one student says, I have no idea. Thanks. And this is maybe where we should really start thinking about how can we enable our target audience, as I have mentioned before, masters and PhD students who have not written a paper yet. How can we ensure that after this seminar series, you will be able to go back to your papers and be able to start writing? Okay, so there are some comments and wishes from you. One student says, it would be better if we could have some writing practice and be advised. I hope to have a study session for each chapter of the article. Now, I will definitely take these wishes into account. I will try to make sure that you know how to practice the things that you have learned in this seminar, and I will provide you with tasks. We can do this as homework. Yeah, anyone who is interested in doing some work from one talk to the other, I will provide you with material. So here's the summary slide for this four-part lecture series. This is based on many years of experience of what is the fundamental problem for all of our students. What is it that you don't do enough in order to improve your writing? This is the summary slide. This is the slide we always show to our students in the very first class of our class in Huairou at UCAS. This is the one slide that you must remember from today and any presentation that I will be giving in the next couple of weeks. You can forget about everything else, but this is the one slide that you must keep in mind. And why do we say this? Well, have a look at this. When I asked you, have you read something recently in English? Yeah, 20% of you say, I have no time. 20% say, oh yes, I have looked at cartoons. Yeah. No, I read in Chinese, 27%. Yeah, you can see the number of students who are not reading regularly is very much the majority of you, and that is why we give you this one single summary slide. This is what you have to do if you really want to improve your writing. Okay. Now this may come as a surprise to you, but if you think about this, and I will give you some supporting slides of why we think this is so important in a moment. Yeah, but this is something that you really need to start thinking about how you can make time for this. Okay, now what can you learn in 4 times 90 minutes? Probably very little. So the main aim of this lecture is not to pack as much knowledge in that we throw at you, I throw at you, and you must digest this. What I would like you to think about this seminar today and in the coming weeks is that we will try to open your eyes to the world of academic writing. We will try to make sure that you understand how you yourself can improve your writing way after this seminar series. Okay, this is just a starting point of your long journey to learn how to write better. So for this 4-part lecture, I would like to encourage you to ask questions anytime. I can see your comments here on the screen. If you have anything that is not clear to you, please remember you are anonymous. There's no record, there's no shame. You cannot fail. You don't get any points. Your GPA will not change. Please ask as many questions as you like, and I will answer them as quickly as possible. Okay? Yeah? So please relax, ask questions, and if there's anything unclear, anything I say, anything I mentioned, make sure you stop me and you ask me a question, ideally in English, okay? Is everyone clear on that? I would like to see 2,000 okay. Ah, very good. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, very good. Good. So now, this is, I mean, this is the same thing. Yeah, I really want you to communicate with me. Yeah, we are in an online class, so we need to use the technology to our advantage. So please make full use of this. Yeah, this is not the same as in class. We cannot see each other, but I am sure we will do this in a way that everyone can benefit from. So, are there any questions about anything I have mentioned so far? Anyone? I give you a few seconds, yeah? Yeah. No questions. Yeah. Okay. Good. Then are all the slides available in MOOC? Yes, and much more. Because we only have four series here, four classes. This is much more limited to what we have on MOOC. On MOOC, we have a complete course that goes over 16 weeks. That covers everything we mentioned here in great detail. So yes, by all means, please go to MOOC and have a look at all the other pieces of material that we have prepared there for you. Okay? All right, good. So, what are good reading materials other than papers? Yes, I will talk about this in a moment. That's a very good question. Yeah, thank you very much. I will show you in a moment. So today I will only talk about the basics. And as you will see, today's class will not give you a lot of technical details. And the reason why I think this basic first class is important is because we must make sure that you are in the right mindset about writing. Today, my task will be to convince you that you need to change the way you think about academic writing. Okay, so for those of you who come today to see a lot of details, a lot of examples, please do not be disappointed. We have plenty of time. All these other modules that you can see here, they have plenty of examples. But today, I want to make sure that you go home and you start think about and you start discussing with your peers where you might want to change your idea about writing, why we write the way we write, why we should write, and so on. Okay, so please take in the information that I will provide you with today as a work on your mindset rather than the technical details. Okay, yeah. So please, yeah, sit back and relax. So the first thing I want to do is I want to bust a few myths about paper writing before I go into more detail. So this is a complete list here in the PDF. That's the only way it works, but we can quickly go through this. The myth number one that all our students have is that all native English-speaking scientists are excellent writers. Please believe me, most of them are not. They struggle just like you do. with writing papers, so this is nothing that you should be too depressed about as a non-native speaker, okay? Myth number 2, all published papers are written in perfect English. This is nonsense. Too many papers are written in very bad English, and as a matter of fact, we do, as one of our exercises in our class, we encourage our students to communicate with their supervisors, trying to find well-written papers in English. Myth number 3, I can write a good paper and check my WeChat simultaneously. Please make sure when you start writing paper, you remove all those electronic gadgets around you. They will make writing impossible for you. You cannot do more than one thing. And especially writing is such a challenging task for our brains. You have to make sure that there are no distractions. Okay? Myth number 4, my supervisor will write my papers for me so I can relax. Now, this is by and large a myth. I believe all good supervisors know that writing papers is part of your training to become a good scientist. So if your supervisor offers to write the paper for you, please say no, because you know that this is a process that you have to go through yourself. Especially if you want to become a scientist yourself, when not to start, why not start, yeah, when you do your master's or PhD? You do a master's and PhD because you want to become a scientist, right? This is why you're here. So please make sure your supervisor understands that. Myth number 5, today I will learn all the shortcuts for how to write a good paper. Well, I can tell you there are no shortcuts. As my summary slide has already shown you, reading indicates, yeah, if reading is the most important thing you have to do, reading, no shortcuts. You have to keep reading. All the good writers have been reading for many, many years before they were actually able to write something well. This is what you have to do. So please, if you're here today and in the next 3 classes, to hear about some silver bullets on how you get there faster, I will disappoint you. Okay, there is no such thing. Myth number 6, I can write my paper in Chinese and let Google Translate do the rest. Well, we know that Google Translate, Baidu Translate are getting better by the day, but believe me, they are nowhere near the kind of academic English that you would expect from an author to write a good, well-written scientific paper. So use it as a tool, but please do not completely rely on it. It will only get you so far. Okay? So this is my short list of myths. So now let's continue with the question whether you really think that you can learn how to write by attending boring seminars like this about academic writing. Yeah, I'm sure at the end of today's class, you guys sort of in the virtual space will look a little bit like this. Let's do a little thought experiment. You know this guy, right? If you go onto Baidu or Google and you type in his name together with Usain Bolt reads books, how many news do you think come up with Usain Bolt reads books? Not a single one. Why is that? Because this guy did not have to read books. He did not attend seminars in order to become the best runner in the world. What did he have to do to become the best runner, the fastest runner in the world? To run, right? That's right. How about her? Everyone knows about her. Gu Ailing. Did she become Olympic champion by attending seminars on how to go down pipes filled with snow and ice? Surely not. She had to go out there and do it herself, 100 times a day for many years since she was little, right? So I'm giving you these 2 examples to make you ask yourself, do you really think you can learn how to write by coming to a seminar like this? Now I want to see 2,000 no, because surely seminars like this can not get you there. The only way to get there to improve your writing is to start your reading and to start writing. Yes? Is everyone clear on that? Very good. Excellent. I'm happy to see this. Okay, how to distinguish the good written papers and the others? This is a very good question. Thank you very much. At the beginning, yeah, if you are a master's or PhD student, that is very difficult. So I tell you what we do with our students. In our first class at UCAS, we give our student a pre-written email to their supervisors in which they ask them to share with them their 5 favorite scientific articles, not just for the content, but actually for the style of writing. Because I think for you as a young student, it's very difficult to really know what is a well-written paper. But your supervisor, your principal investigator, your mentor would have written hundreds, if not thousands of papers. And he or she surely will know what are good, well-written papers. So please, if you are at the beginning of your PhD or master's, after this talk tonight, please write a WeChat message or an email to your supervisor and say, hey boss, can you please recommend to me 5 papers that you really enjoyed reading? Okay, and that's your starting point. And once you have these papers, you know who wrote them. And once you know who wrote these papers, well, then you go back into the data bank and you have a look. What other papers have these people written? And so you can expand your arsenal of beautifully written papers in no time. And you keep them in a special place and you make sure you learn from those papers. Okay? Does it sound like a good idea? Does it make sense to you? Yeah. Okay. If you would like me to send you this pre-written email, I'm happy to share with you. Okay. All right. So again, the idea, yeah, that I will be pushing here for all 4 talks will always be the same. You need to start reading. Have a look at what Steve Pinker said from Harvard. He's the author of The Blank Slate, Sense of Style, a book about English style. He says good writers acquire their crafts, writing well, not from memorizing rules. You guys have been doing this for over 10 years, right? No, they do so by reading a lot, savoring, reverse engineering good prose, as you can see here, assimilating fast numbers of words, yeah? And the best thing is your brain does it by itself, yeah? You don't have to learn anything by heart. Yeah, you don't really have to do anything but just keep reading, all right? Yeah, but of course, nowadays we have a major challenge, as you can see here in this cartoon. Even if you sit down and you start reading, your mobile phone and all your other electronic gadgets are always very close by. So this is maybe an even bigger challenge, apart from not having enough time. Once you sit down, finally, to start doing some reading, you have to somehow find a way to avoid having your mobile phones around, who surely will distract you, because this is how they're being designed, this is how they're being programmed. The main function of a mobile phone is to distract us from anything else in our lives. And so this is something I want you to think very carefully about. How can you get around this? How can you avoid getting into this situation, not being able to start reading, not being able to start writing because there are all these other digital electronic distractions around you? This is something you really need to find solutions for, okay? I'm sure everyone is familiar with this problem, yeah? And that is something you need to find solutions for. Okay, so read, read, read. I will keep repeating this by the end of this seminar series. I hope you will have taken this in. Now, students will say, well, what shall I read? So here is another tip, what to start with. We are all scientists, young fledgling researchers. Why don't you start with something that interests you? Why not start with nature previews? This is the address. You go there. You will find the link to this website where you can sign up for the daily nature briefings. This is short pieces of news. Nature has employed a person to digest the latest discoveries for you and provide you with those in a short format. So please start with something that interests you. That is important. I don't want you to start reading Charles Dickens or Agatha Christie. Start with something that you find interesting, you find exciting. That's the most important thing. And I think this is a good a way to start. You just pick out what you're interested in, and then you go from there. Okay? So this is one way to do this. Now, of course, I keep telling you to start reading. The important message here really is when you read something, normally you read with focus on content. What I want you to start doing, and hopefully after these 4 lectures, what you will also do is, apart from focusing reading for content, you will start reading with focus on grammar, stylistic issues, organizational patterns. This is what I want to achieve in this class, in not just today, but in the following 3 classes. Okay, so this is the change you must make. Reading just for content to reading for both content and language. Okay. Now, here is another basic point that I want to make that many are not aware of, and I think you need to be aware of this so that you understand why in academic English, in written academic English, we need to pay attention to how we write. And this has something to do with the difference in written language and spoken language. So let's have a look at this sentence here. I will not tell you. You can read for yourself. You can read out aloud. And I am sure that every single one of you, those 2,000 participants in this series, will read out this sentence differently. Unfortunately, we are not in the same classroom. That would be much more fun. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is all coming up together, but let me run you through this. The first one. Here in the first one, she says, I didn't steal your wallet. He did. In the next one, she said, I didn't steal your wallet. Don't you get it? I didn't steal your wallet. I borrowed it. I didn't steal your wallet. I stole hers. I didn't steal your wallet. I stole your phone. Can you see? It's the same sentence, but the meaning is completely different. We have one sentence, but we have 5 possible meanings. I leave this up for a moment for you to digest this. What am I trying to tell you here? Do you understand that when you speak, you will, of course, emphasize a particular term in the sentence that you think needs to be emphasized, right? But when you write, your reader has no idea what your intention is. Where is the stress in the sentence? Do they? How can they know? Exactly, context is important. Yeah. Now you can argue in writing you have a context as well. Yeah. But I want you to understand that in writing it is much more important that you think about what kind of meanings your statements might have in the mind of the reader. And obviously, a reader is in a very different position compared to someone who stands right across you. Is that clear to everyone? I want to see a few yes or no. If this is not clear, please let me know. Do you understand what my message is here on this slide? Very good. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but this is sort of comes so natural, yeah. But I think this is so, yeah, that this is what I really want to focus on this basic class today. I want you to go home and say, well, this is something I never thought about. Okay, yeah. So let me show you this in a different way. So here's an author's paper, and you can see the red writing in it. It is my comments, and I'm sitting there, and I say, please clarify. This is unclear. What do you mean? Do you actually understand this? Yeah, I am asking the writer. Do you understand what you're writing here? In the end, I give up because I have no idea what the author is talking about. This is kind of worst case scenario. Now, of course, you know, this is the interesting thing. You as the author, you know exactly what you mean, right? Always, because it's all in your mind. But your readers, they have no idea. Yeah. Your readers often have no idea what you're talking about. Do you realize that? Why is that? Why do you think it is so difficult for the reader to understand what you're saying? Any suggestions? Any comments? Let's do some communication. Please give me some ideas. Why do you think often the reader has no idea what you're trying to say? Yes, ambiguity. Your writing is ambiguous, but it is not ambiguous to you as the writer, is it? Poor writing, sure, but I do not believe that it's just poor writing. Yeah, there are many native speakers who know how to put a proper sentence together in English, and even their writing is not clear. Why is that? Inaccuracy, sure. Yeah, that is often an issue. Yeah. What else? Any other ideas? Sure, logic. Yeah. But again, in the mind of the writer, it's all perfectly logical. Yeah. Yeah, sure. A missing explanation. But why is the writer not providing the explanations? Because the writer does not need the explanations, right? Do you? You have been working on this project for the last 5 years. Surely you know what you are writing about. Yeah? Inappropriate words, sure, yeah, that happens. Yeah, it's not simple enough. You're right. Yeah, all of these points. Yeah, but fundamentally, yeah, there is a problem. The reader cannot climb into your brain and understand the context in which you make a particular statement, right? So I am the habit or whatever writer's native language is different for English. Yeah, sure. But as I said, this is not just an issue of non-native speakers. Many native speakers, they have the same problem. Yeah. The reason for this is that many writers do not understand this concept that the reader does not know everything they know as the writer. Okay. Yeah. So this is another really important thing. The author thinks that readers know everything. Mr. or Mrs. Wang, you're absolutely right. This is maybe one of the key points today. I want you to change your way of thinking about this particular point. Yeah, I will show this in a moment. Especially young scholars like you, young researchers, masters and PhD students, you think your reader knows everything. They know so much more than you do. This is something I want you to change, and I want you to go home and think about. Is that really true? Okay. So, spoken language differs from written language. Spoken, yeah, when you speak, a speech is very heavily context driven. You sit there in front of your audience. It can rely on these non-verbal cues, the tone, the sound, yeah, gestures you use, all these kind of things you can use when you speak. But when you write, do you have all these tools available when you write? Do you have all these other tools to communicate your message with your readers? No, you don't. That is something you need to understand. In that way, writing is very limited. You only have the written word. As I have shown you on the example before, you must keep in mind that the written word is all your readers have. There's nothing else. Okay? So do you now understand, yeah, what you need to pay attention to when you write? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So now there's something else that makes this even more complicated, and that's where not being a native English speaker comes in. Okay, so this is one point where you are right. Different cultures with different languages express their thoughts and ideas in different ways. Have a look at this. How do you think or write? People who study this, linguists, yeah, here's a study from 1996. Yeah, linguists think that people in this part of the world think like that. How do they think? Yeah, the English speaking world, they think like that. Now, anyone who has written or read Shakespeare may not agree with that. But when it comes to more mundane kind of language, everyday language, written language, for the mere mortals of us, probably will agree with that. So, and this, you can see these are different patterns of thinking, different patterns of writing in different cultures. And this is something we need to be aware of. We need to understand that when we translate from one thinking pattern into another, it's not just about knowing your vocabulary, it is also about how you structure your thoughts. And this is a major challenge. And that is something native speakers don't have to struggle with on top of everything else. So in a way, this is something, the earlier, the sooner you are aware of this, the easier it will be for you to address this problem. Okay, so this is something I want to make you aware of this in this class today. So, any questions related to anything I have mentioned so far? Is everything clear so far? Yes or no? Clear. Very good. Okay. How can we know the thinking patterns of our readers? The easiest way, of course, is to when you, let's say, you look for papers that are well written in English. The easiest way would be to choose papers written by native speakers. Okay, then this issue will not come into the equation. All right. So our students, when we ask them to choose papers to work with in our class, many of them choose papers from their supervisors. Yeah, and they think these papers are very clear. And there's a reason why they're very clear, because they are written in a similar thinking pattern to their own. But if you really want to learn how to write more like a native speaker, and this was a question that many students posed in our survey, how can I change from writing Jinglish to proper English? One way is to learn from well-written papers that have been written by native speakers. Yeah, and I'm not just talking about authors from Asia versus author from Europe. Papers written by Germans are different to papers written by English. Papers written by Spanish scientists are written differently. So even within Europe, we can already see these different patterns. Okay, so the best starting point is to have native speakers, and ideally those who are really famous for writing really beautiful papers. Okay, as I said before, not every, in fact, very few native speakers know how to write well. Okay, so that is the answer to your question. How to avoid colloquial writing? Look, we will talk about this in the unit about style, where we will give you a lot of examples of what is colloquial style writing versus academic style writing. Okay, so please wait for maybe next class or the class after. We will talk about these stylistic issues. Yeah, so there we will introduce you to some of the stylistic elements of academic writing, and we will give you a nice overview so that you can use this when you do your own writing. But again, the short answer to your question is start reading and use the language that is being used in the papers in your field. Yeah, but we will come back to this. First of all, you have to be aware of those elements, and then you go back and you read papers with focus on stylistic issues. Okay. So please be patient. Huh? All right. So let's have a look at the question: why do we write papers? So this question may sound trivial to you. Yeah. Some of you might say, because I want to graduate in June. Yeah. So I can get married in July. Yeah. Get a job that pays well. I hope most of you will not have this kind of thinking. Let's have a look at what I'm actually referring to. We are writing in order to bring order into our way of thinking. This is the fundamental function of writing. Writing is something relatively new in the evolution of humans. That's why this is so difficult. Bringing order into your thinking is something that is a major challenge, but this is one of the functions of writing, and we need to be aware of that. Please remember that. The function of writing is to bring order into the way you think about your results. Okay? Now, the aim, of course, is to be understood, and this is the function of form. So when you write, you do analysis, you bring order into your thinking about the experimental results that you have obtained. And how do you do this? You use form, you use elements of style and logic to be understood, so that your readers can precisely understand what you are trying to say. That's why you have to write with clarity, logic, and precision. So let's have a look at another question. What exactly is academic writing? So here, these two pictures, I think, nicely summarize how most of you think about academic writing. This is boring, yeah, puts you to sleep. The style is really not very engaging, right? Yeah. So here I show you something where someone made a good point about academic writing. I'll leave this up for a moment so you can read through this. It's in Chinese, so should be quickly. Okay, so I think most of you will agree with this assessment. So it's nothing really that you would like to read on holidays. Most of us certainly. So academic writing is tremendously challenging, and you try to stay away from this as much as you can. Now, to put this question in another way, what is academic writing? Here's a little graph of a project that someone did, and had a look at writing in different kind of disciplines. You can see here medicine, computer science, higher education, history. And then over here, you can see characteristics of academic writing in these disciplines. And characteristics means the use of pronouns, engaging title, using lots of abstract nouns. And you don't have to read all the small print, but you can see just the size of the dots differs fundamentally. So here, the biggest size dot is 100 out of 100, yeah? But you can see it goes from 100 all the way down to 2. And the smaller the dot, the less likely it is that you will find one of those characteristics in that particular discipline. So immediately you can see that when we talk about academic writing, it is actually very messy, yeah? The different characteristics of academic writing may apply to medicine, but not to computer science, and vice versa. Okay, so because of this, what we normally say to our students is that no matter what we tell you here in our class, you need to go back and read papers in your own field and pay attention to those characteristics that we introduce you to, but we don't know in your discipline whether they are actually being used. Okay, So this is something that is very important. So whatever I will tell you here in this class and in the following weeks, you must always go back and verify that these points are indeed true and valid in your particular discourse community. Okay, so this is something important. So in summary, academic writing comes in many, many different shapes and forms, as this graph very nicely illustrates. So now another point that I would like to make here today, and I would like you to think about this when you go home, is what does good academic writing actually mean? And here I give you an example that hopefully will bring home the message of what we think a good academic writing should look like. Have a look at this. These deconstructive theorizing inputs to the conversation are less about finding out how to better succumb to neoliberal or economic rationalist discourses of effectiveness and completion, and more about critically exploring, for example, how those discourses may be operative and regulatory, what they make possible and impossible, and how they compete with other available discourses about the cause and purpose of postgraduate research and supervision. Wow. Now, let me ask you, is this informative? Yes or no? Yes, one sentence. Are you being informed? Yes. Would you like to tell us what that means? If you find this informative, you can tell us what the sentence means. Yes? Too complicated to understand, too much information, have no idea, confusing. Exactly. But you know what? You think that you don't understand what this means is because your English is so bad, right? Your English is not good enough to understand what this sentence means. Is that right? Look, let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with your English, but this statement is just fundamentally wrong. First of all, it's far too long, too many things in there. So it's not informative. We cannot understand what it means. Yeah. So of course it's not engaging. Yeah. But if I were to ask whether you think that this is good academic writing, would you say yes or no? Why do you all say no? I was expecting you to say yes. Between yes and no, then that's better. Anyone who thinks this is really good academic writing? No one? Yeah, but you're not sure. Uh, yeah, okay, look, I'm glad and I'm happy that so many of you say no, because you're absolutely right. This is terrible writing, regardless of whether it is academic writing or not. But too many of our students think that, yes, this is exactly how academic writing should be. The less I understand, the better it must be. Yeah, because that's how we were taught. Academic writing must be pompous, ponderous, difficult to understand, vague, and complicated, right? So, but you are absolutely right. It shouldn't be like this. So have a look at this example. Humans have engaged in endurance running for millions of years, but the modern running shoe was not invented until the 1970s. For most of human evolutionary history, runners were either barefoot or wore minimal footwear, such as sandals or moccasins. Now, everyone can understand that, right? Yes? Wonderful, wonderful. I'm really happy to see that. Everyone understands. Now, let me ask the question again. Do you think that this is good academic writing? Yes or no? Why do you all say yes? You're supposed to say, well, yes, it's too easy to read, so it cannot be academic writing, right? Do you really think in a paper, in an academic paper, people write like this? Yes, it's clear to understand, very easy to understand. But you expect something like this written in a newspaper, not in an academic journal, right? More like a novel, exactly. This cannot be academic writing, right? Please say no. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Everyone else is silent. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We have two twos, two no's. Oh man, well, we are sorry. Don't be sorry. It's okay. So no, this cannot be academic writing, right? Now let me show you where this was published. Exactly. Ah, easy to read, but informal. That is a very interesting comment you make, Rita. Why do you think it is informal? What makes this text informal, in your opinion? Because it is so easy to understand, right? If something is easy to understand, it cannot be academic, it has to be informal. You see, this is exactly why I'm showing you this. Today, if there's one thing I want you to think about is, why do you believe that this is not good academic writing? Why do you think this is informal writing? You can see this was published in Nature Letters. Nature has a very thorough editing process. You can be assured that if that was informal writing, the authors would not have got away with this. That they would have to change their writing style. But obviously, it was accepted. So I want you to think about this example, and I give you another example here. Have a look at this. This is my favorite, really. A frog hunts on land by vision. He escapes enemies mainly by seeing them. His eyes do not move, as do ours, to follow prey, attend suspicious events, or search for things of interest. If his body changes its position with respect to gravity, or the whole visual world is rotated about him, then he shows compensatory eye movements. These movements enter his hunting and evading habits only as he sits on a rocking lily pad. This is literature. That's right. Sounds like a novel. That is poetry, right? Guess what? This was one of the most influential papers in the field of computer science and neuroscience. These guys, Latwin, Maturana, McCulloch, and Walter Pitts, they are really the ones that initiated the whole process of thinking of the brain as a computer. So this was a very influential paper. But these guys were not just biologists, they were not just computer scientists, they were poets as well, and that's why they wrote like this. Okay, so I give you these two examples to initiate a rethinking process of what good academic writing should look like. Okay, so please have a look in the handout and enjoy these pieces. Depending on your field, I get your point, and we often get this comment, especially from computer scientists who think that, yeah, we don't have anything to write in such way. But I believe this is more an issue of attitude rather than field. You will find pieces of writing like this in any field. Believe me, there are beautifully written papers in the engineering disciplines. But this is something, yeah, we can discuss. Now, another question. When you write a paper, who do you write to? I don't know if you ever thought about your audience. People in the same field, you're right. But does it only have to be people in your field? If you want to publish in Nature or Science, are you sure that you only write to people in the same field? Referees, Leon, yeah, I know. These are your first readers. And you want to get past those and everything else doesn't matter, right? Everyone, very good. Everyone, as you can see here on this picture, this is how I would like you to imagine when you write, have this picture on the wall and say, I want to write to 1 million people. And this will have an impact on how you do your writing. When you have this image in mind, you cannot write as if you're writing to just those other 3 people who do exactly the same research as you do. Okay? So the problem, of course, is when you write a paper, you have actually no idea, yeah, who your audience is. You can't see them. Your paper gets published, and then anyone who wants to read your paper will read your paper. So you have to start thinking about who do you actually want to read your paper? Is it really just a handful of scientists in your field? And this is really important to think about this before you start writing. Every single section of your paper is written with a particular audience in mind. Okay, so we will talk about this when we talk about story and audience in more detail. But for today, I just want to initiate this rethinking. When you write a paper, really, you don't have your audience in front of you, but you can have some intelligent guesses, and you can control who would be able to understand your paper or parts of your paper in the way you write it. Okay? So, another question that is, of course, related to audience is the idea about storytelling. And whenever we bring this up with our students about paper writing should be storytelling, yeah, these kind of images come up, and our students shake their heads in disbelief. Why would a paper be about storytelling? And that is something that I will continue next week. I really want to give you some more detail on how to think about your scientific paper being a story, and how to approach this challenge on what story to tell. Okay, so next week we will continue with storytelling, and I will give you more detail on this. But for today, I would like you to start thinking about should papers be stories told to our audiences? How could it be possible to make a paper honest about everyone and not seem childish for professionals? Yeah, I expected this comment. We will talk about this in more detail, how to think about this, okay, so that you can get a better idea on how to write your paper with a focus on your different audiences. Hang on, guys, a few more slides that I want to share with you before I let you go. Are papers structured? Yes, of course they are structured, and we will talk in more detail in the part about organization. So today I will just really show you this overview slide. You're familiar with structures of essays. Let me tell you, academic papers are just like that. There is really no difference. The naming is different, but otherwise, because yeah, as I have just mentioned, an academic paper is a story that's being told, and that's why a paper looks just like that. Yeah, but of course we have to discuss this in more detail. So the fundamental, just someone was asking, so what's the summary here? How can I learn how to write well? The answer is always the same. You have to start reading. And in the next couple of weeks, I will introduce you to those elements that I would like you to pay attention to when you start reading papers. We will talk about organizational issues, about logical issues, about stylistic issues. And so by the end of this four-part series, we hope that you will be in the position to read with focus both on content and all these language elements. Okay, so that's maybe do we still have some time, or we can leave it. We can leave it there, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's leave it there. I think I hope I have given you enough material to think through. I have a little piece of homework that I will share with you in the handout that I would like you to start looking into it so that you're prepared for next week. For those of you who have not filled out the survey, please select, contact your supervisor, ask for well-written papers, and use them in conjunction with our seminar series so that you can immediately apply and verify the things that we are talking about here. So please, by next week, select 2 or 3 papers in your field that you are interested in, that are well written, and which you can use to analyze in line with what we are teaching here. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Are there any questions that you would like to pose now? Otherwise, you can send them to our survey. Can you show the address of the online book? I will put this into the handout. Don't worry. My pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining, and see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, 关老师。
刚才是静音了，是不是？
哎
看看池浩，你这边是不是解除大家的静音？看大家如果有问题，直接可以点开这个麦克，直接提问。
可以吗？可是那样的话，我觉得有点
全员的那个静音嘛，大家直接提问。
那我解除
谁有问题？
快是按老师谈。好了，我解除了连接，说的。对，大家有问题的话呢，可以语音问
讲一个故事，把你的文章打成个故事。
请问现在还可以拉人进群吗？
拉人进群可以。对，但是现在其实一会儿我们再处理这个拉人进群的事情吧。就现在大家可以用这个就是英文提一下问题啊，或者是写在这个评论区里面都可以。好，现在请大家提问。有回放的，后面我们是整理或剪辑一下会放出来啊。
因为第一次课可能是一个整体的一个简单的介绍，大家可能问题不多啊。后面的话，Preston 还会具体的给大家讲一些细节的问题，因为今天的内容可能比较简单。当然，如果有任何问题，大家都可以直接开麦说啊，可以不用打字，直接提问就可以。
When is the next lecture?
Next lecture. Same time.
Same time, yeah, same time next Tuesday.
Yes. 有的，咱们一共是这个4次的系列课，这是第1次。啊，对 ，Tostan 4次，然后那个后面还有很多位老师。
So today is the first lecture. Let me show you the if we go here. This one. Here you will see. Where did it go? Here, this one. So today we talked about the basics. So next week we'll start with story. We'll talk about stylistic issue, logical flow, and this will probably then be in the week after. Yeah, abstract. How to write an abstract. So we will go through all these different elements. Yeah, in the next 3 weeks. So today we have just covered the basics for you to start rethinking your idea of academic writing. And from next week on, we will talk about all the technical details. Okay? Yeah? Same time, same place. Yeah. How to organize the wording. There are really no easy ways. We cannot. This problem cannot be solved in a talk. As I meant, that's why I mentioned this at the beginning. If you want to learn how to run, you have to run. Yeah. If you want to learn how to write, you have to start writing. And at the beginning, it will not be pretty, but that's okay. Yeah. So the idea of this seminar series is to enable you to pay attention to the stylistic issues that you need to change in your writing. Okay. So we will try to give you the tools, the running shoes, yeah, if you like, to enable you to get onto the track and start running by yourself. Okay, that's the idea of this seminar series.
Another question about the difference between a science paper and a thesis for a doctorate thesis.
Okay. Well, first of all, a thesis probably is much longer, has a lot more detail, and in that sense, maybe is much easier to write, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but believe me, the shorter, the fewer words you're allowed to use, the more difficult it is to write. That's why people struggle with their science and nature papers, especially if it's not a complete article, because you only have so many words. as an example, science, yeah, only gives you 150 words to write the abstract, which is basically impossible. So a normal journal article gives you 250 words, and that is just the sort of minimum to really write a mini story of your paper. So a thesis gives you much more freedom to go into more detail. That's the main difference. But in terms of structure, a thesis starts with introduction, methodology, your results, discussion, conclusion, reference list. In terms of structure, it will be very similar. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Do we have some file to review? Yes. I will give you the handout. Yeah, we will send it to you so you can have a look at the material. And I will also give you one link for homework that is related to your work with your selected papers. Anyone who's interested, please have a look at this in the handout. Okay. How to write. So yeah, so your question is already problematic. How to
It is, I'm sorry.
how to yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm not sure how we organize this, but I'm sure there will be a way to have a venture and link, yeah, that we can then upload the material. Yeah, I'm not sure how. But how to practice writing logically? Look, I have prepared tasks for you that you can do in your own time. We don't have to do them in class. We will do small tasks, but for such large tasks to practice logical writing, I will prepare like a recipe how you can think about and how you can go about practicing your logical writing. Okay, so this is certainly something we can do. The frog example. The frog example. Let me. Yeah. The bottom line here is scientific writing should be simple to understand, should be precise and clear. Whenever these three criteria are fulfilled, then the academic writing is clear. If you understand what the authors are trying to say, and if all the different readers are do understand exactly the same, then yes, it is good writing. Yeah. So the frog example is a beautiful piece of writing that has been published in a very good journal, was a very influential paper, and is remarked on not just for its content, but also for its language. Yeah. Now, of course, this is only the beginning of the paper. The rest of the paper is very technical. Yeah, it's probably only can only be understood by experts. But this is what we are going to talk about next week when you pay attention to your audience. What does that actually mean? Which parts of your papers need to be written in what kind of way if you want to write, if you want to attract a certain type of audience? Okay, yeah. So, but yes, I think it's a beautiful example of academic writing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Look, this is a great question. Most people cannot do both things at the same time. I have to admit, I can't do at the same time. So if you can do that, then you are very fortunate, and you should make full use of this ability. Most of us, when we are doing experiments, we are in a laboratory kind of mindset, and we cannot do anything else. maybe read a paper, but even that is maybe already too much. So it's okay. Finish your experiments, pay attention to the details, make sure you do your experiments carefully, get your results, and then go into your office and then prepare figure, as you would have to do for your lab meeting anyway. Most supervisors want to know what you have done in the last week. Prepare your graphs, but not just that. Maybe also write a little story around your graph. Why don't you write one paragraph of introduction? What is the background to this experiment? What was your scientific question? Then describe the results and then discuss. Write a mini paper for every single result. And if you do that, I can assure you that at the end of this whole process, when you have to write the whole paper, it will be much easier because you have practiced so many times. The problem is very few of you want to do this. Very few of us have the time to do that. If you understand how important this is, this repeated writing exercise, then please, by all means, do that. Yeah? As an advice to supervisors, ask your students to write a mini story for every single experimental results. Ask your students to write a short introduction, 1 paragraph, 10 sentences maximum. Ask your students to write a scientific question that is a valid and interesting question and easy to understand, that is linked to the background information. Ask your students to write a results section that summarizes the most important information in the graph. Ask your students to write a conclusion statement. Why is this result interesting? Why is this result important? How does this result change the way we understand the particular system that you have investigated experimentally? Yeah, I think, yeah, supervisors who understand that doing a master's or PhD is a training exercise in turning you into world-class scientists, also understand that writing is very important. So why not encourage your students every week, have a 1-page mini story about one result, not just oral presentation, which is probably in Chinese. If you really want your students to write their own papers at the end of their PhD or master's time, encourage them every week to write that 1-page mini paper for the results that they have obtained. And I can assure you, they will be great writers by the end of their 3, 4, 5 years of PhD. Yeah. It will not look pretty at the beginning, but that's totally okay. They just need to practice. Yeah. All right. XP, you are absolutely right. And I know many of you will be disappointed because you came to this talk to take away some magic tricks. There are no magic tricks. The only way you can improve your writing, just like you want to improve your running or anything else, you need to put in those 10,000 hours to improve, to excel in whatever it is you want to do. There is no way around. And writing particularly so. Running, maybe you can improve in a year. Writing is a process that takes many, many years. And we need to understand as supervisors, we need to understand that for students, this is the last thing that they want to do. So we need to find ways to encourage them. Form these kind of writing clubs in your laboratory where students sit down together, no supervisor, just students, and they talk through the structure of paper. So they don't focus on the content, they focus more on the language. If your students do this once a week over pizza in a relaxed atmosphere, Yeah, each student prepares a different part. One student prepares abstract, one student prepares introduction, one results, one discussion. If you do this once a week, I think your students will have no problems writing their papers. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, wonderful. This is maybe more a talk for supervisors, not for students.
Hi, Professor. I'm an undergraduate student right now, and for me, I have already published a few, but for my part, I could write it firstly in Chinese and then do the translate. What do you
Yeah.
think is the most drawback of this method? And for me, to write the English examining paper from beginning is very difficult. So what should I do to make small changes to make myself able to write a paper from in English from beginning?
A very good question. Thank you very much for sharing with us. You can think about this in two different ways. That there is a short-term a solution and a long-term. In the long term, of course, the best way would be to enable yourself to write in English directly. But in the short term, this may not be an option for many students. So please feel free to write in Chinese first. It's okay. Why? It's because in Chinese, you know exactly what the logical flow of your writing is. And it is very important, if not the most important thing, that you have a good logical structure of your paper. So please write in Chinese. Of course, at some stage, you then need to translate this into English. And the question is, yeah, what resources do you have to translate this into English? Do you employ a professional translator? Does your supervisor translate it for you? Do you use Google? Yeah, this is something you need to find out what options you have. In the end, you need a professional language editor who then make sure that your writing does not have all these Chinese thinking patterns in it anymore, as I have shown you, yeah, at the beginning. These patterns need to be straightened out and turned into English thinking patterns. That will be the challenge. But please, anyone who does not feel comfortable with writing in English straight away, write in Chinese is okay. But at the same time, please work on your English writing, okay? You need these two approaches at the same time. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. You mentioned the cultural, the cultural thinking pattern. I think this is most challenge for me to change my thinking patterns. For me, what I did to write a paper is write it in Chinese at first, then translate with Google Translate. Yeah.
Yes, yes. By all means, please use Google. I think in general, you can say translate English into Chinese using Baidu. If you translate into English, in my experience, Google is doing a better job because Google seems to have algorithms that understand what is native English structure. Whereas Baidu, I'm sure, is very good at understanding what is native Chinese language structure, right? So please, if you can use, make sure you use Google.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the question. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Liu Zhang.
Yeah.
Liu Liang. Liu Liang. Liu Laoshi, I'm very happy that your group is going to implement those suggestions. I look forward to hearing about your results.
Well, I'm not sure if the students are happy with this. So also looking forward to their reply.
Don't mention my name.
Yeah, they are also listening to this lecture, and I
Okay.
think they are very happy, and they can learn quite a lot of things.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you very
Jayo.
much. Thank you very
Jayo,
much.
student. Yeah, thank you. Writing English directly is good. Yes, by all means, it is better than starting in Chinese. But we have many students who simply do not feel comfortable in writing English first.